Welcome to Knitting Daily, where yarn and fiber takes center stage. Join knitting expert Uni Zhang, crochet ace Kim Worker, spinning and weaving fiberista Liz Gibson, and favorite stitcher Shay Pendray. Get started with the world's most beautiful fibers and yarns. Meet trend-setting designers, improve or learn new skills, knit along with us, and make time for yarn every day.
I'd like to welcome Cheryl Potter for yarnmarket.com. Hi, Cheryl.
Hey, Shay, how are you?
And today we're going to talk about one skein.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And hand-painted yarn, would that be the correct term?
Yes, all of these garments here were designed from one skein of hand-painted yarn.
Okay, and so do you design yarn yourself, or you paint it yourself?
I paint the yarn, and I also design the yarn with mills just to get the right composition and texture.
And we have to tell everybody you write books too.
Yes.
And we have books about one skein, correct?
Yes. This book is about one skein with hand-painted yarn, and this book upcoming is about substituting skeins of yarn for other skeins of yarn.
That's great. Well, where do we start with the one skein?
Well, I'd like to start with a small project. A lot of people view skeins of yarn as all the same size, as you know, and they vary very widely.
Right.
This is a typical size skein of yarn, a sock yarn, and you obviously can knit a pair of socks out of it. One problem you can encounter with hand-painted yarn is that both socks may not look the same because you don't know
what the yarn's going to do.
Right, what the next color may be in the strand.
Doesn't that make that more interesting, Cheryl?
It does, but then you'll get some people that say, oh wow, there's a big streak of red here, or how come there's green in this one? So here's my secret.
Okay.
I knit the socks consecutively.
Oh.
I'll knit the top of one, then I'll knit the top of the other one.
Okay.
And pretty soon you'll notice when you turn the heel, they look the same, and then when you get to the toe, it's the same.
That's a really good hint. And now tell me about this little hat.
Yeah, this is made with a slightly larger skein of, again, just sock yarn. And what I found here is if you're careful with the yarn, you can actually get a hat plus a pair of wristlets. And you know, teenage girls love this kind of stuff.
And somebody told me to make your swatch into a wristlet.
That's exactly what happened here.
Is that really?
Yeah. Oh. It's the actual first swatch, and then I made one to match.
Oh, I thought I was so unique, and I'm not.
No, but that's just another great way. A lot of people will have a swatch, and then what do you do with that afterwards? Make it into a cat toy or something? No, you can actually wear it.
That's great. And now this is a large skein, and from this,
I made an entire, actually huge, we call this the shaped shawl.
Yes.
And the reason it got so big is that we started the shaping very, very low after the point was started so that you could get the shawl wide. And it actually makes a sumptuous garment from just one skein of worsted weight yarn.
Wow, that's so exciting. And now over here, we're going to get a whole garment from an even larger skein?
Yep, this skein is over 1,000 yards of yarn, of sport weight yarn, and you can get an actual coat, and I'm not kidding, this is a huge coat from one skein, about 14 ounces of yarn, and almost any size. And you'll find that it flows. It's very lightweight, and it's a coat.
Yes. And now we have the largest skein, correct?
Yes, this is a skein of lace weight yarn, and it weighs 8 ounces only. There's 2,400 yards in here, and we made a tablecloth.
Let me have the skein, and you show them the tablecloth.
This is an actual tablecloth from just one skein of yarn, and some people would make it into a wrap or a sumptuous shawl.
Yes, I was going to say you could wear your tablecloth.
Yep.
Now, that's very open. We'll put it down so everybody can see it.
Yeah.
And it's very open. So did you go to a larger size needle for that?
Yeah. Yes, you use
or you used an open lace pattern?
Both. And this is called the figure eight fantasy. I don't know if you can see the figure eights in here. See the
yes, I do.
What you do with this, and this is how to make the most out of your skein of yarn, is you make your 3/8, and then you measure down from each side and see how far your yarn will go. And this is what we did. We used up every single inch of this yarn.
Oh, so you started in the center and really worked outward.
Worked out.
Is that correct?
Yep, out on the sides and down on the ends, and we made it fit a 4x6 Thanksgiving table.
That is very clever. Most people start and just hope their yarn comes out, but you actually calculate it.
Yes, you do, and especially for like the shaped shawl, I actually cut every single piece of fringe first, just to make sure I had enough to fringe it with, and then I knit every last scrap of that yarn.
Okay, so if it's one skein, you got to think first. Is that correct?
You have to think first, cut first,
Yes.
and then begin knitting.
Well, thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.
It was great having you. And we'll be right back.
Knitting Daily has been sponsored in part by yarnmarket.com, a global resource for over 600 yarns plus books, patterns, and other knitting supplies. yarnmarket.com. Knitting Daily. Make time for yarn every day. The projects and patterns from today's show, plus more ideas and projects, can be found on the web at knittingdailytv.com. This is show 207. Continue knitting daily every day by joining the online Knitting Daily community and receive a free newsletter 5 times a week, filled with step-by-step techniques, inspiring reader-contributed stories, and free patterns. It's about knitting all the time. knittingdaily.com.